Hi, I'm Madame Pamita, and I love teaching about magic. If you have a question about spells, the law of attraction, spirituality, witchcraft, Slavic folk magic, spirits, divination, you can join me on Sundays at the Live Magic Q&A where we record an episode of my podcast, Magic and the Law of Attraction, and then I answer your questions on anything mystical or magical live over Zoom. Just go to spellsquad.com to get the link to join me in the clubhouse. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and click the bell icon so you get a gentle, magical reminder and you'll be the first witch to see whenever anything new goes up. Here's a great tidbit from one of our past Q&As answering a really important spiritual question.
Nerve has a question. What is a simple candle spell we can use to help us not feel the upcoming Mercury retrograde so intensely? I love it when someone brings up a Mercury retrograde thing because then I get to get on my soapbox. I'm up on my soapbox right now about Mercury retrograde. Okay. The planets, astrology, and the planets and these forces that are out there affect us. There's no doubt about it. But it's like riding a wave, right? Riding a wave. If you're surfing, Nerve, you live near the ocean, right? You know about surfing. If we're riding a wave and the wave is peeling to the right, we're not going to try and surf to the left because we're just going to end up in the, backwash, terrible, get crushed by the wave. We want to go with the wave, right? So the same thing for astrological phenomenon. I'm telling you, social media is great in a lot of ways, and it is terrible in a lot of ways. Giving a voice to everyone is great in a lot of ways and terrible in a lot of ways. So what has happened is I have been doing witchcraft for decades, 40 plus years now. I've been doing witchcraft, right? All of a sudden, now back in the olden days, I'll say this, back in the olden days, Mercury retrograde, the biggest thing anyone said is, don't sign a contract for anything during Mercury retrograde because you're going to have to go back and rework that contract. Don't start anything new during Mercury retrograde because you're going to have to go back and fix it, right? Mercury retrograde is for going back. So we don't want to initiate anything. We obviously have to initiate things sometimes during Mercury retrograde, but if we have a choice about it, we can wait till we're out of retrograde to initiate those things. Then you want to do that because it's just going to be easier for you, right? Have you ever done that thing where like you type up a whole thing and then you press the wrong button and it disappears, it's off your computer and then you have to type it all over again? That's what Mercury retrograde is about. Can you type it again? Sure. Is it a hassle? Yes, most definitely, but you can do it, right? So initiating things during Mercury retrograde, if you can avoid it, you probably should. Don't start any new businesses, new projects, new contracts, new partnerships, any of those things. Probably not a good idea during Mercury retrograde because a retrograde is about going backward, looking backward and fixing what happened before, revising. This is my thing. Anything that begins with RE, revisiting, retiring, revising, adding, redoing. Whenever you're redoing something, that's what Mercury retrograde is about. So instead of fighting with Mercury retrograde and going, oh, the sky is falling, oh my gosh, I want to avoid that energy. Why not work with the energy? Why not work with the energy? You've got a beautiful opportunity to go back and fix things, right? You might want to go back and revisit an old friendship to fix the friendship. You might want to revise your manuscript or your play that you're writing or your business plan during that time because it's the perfect time for that. So instead of resisting Mercury retrograde, why not go with the flow of Mercury retrograde? It's beautiful, right? I can go fix all those things that are kind of need fixing. I can go back and fix them. I can remodel. I can redo. I can revisit. I can reassign. I can do whatever. It's a great time for that. So I never avoid Mercury retrograde. I'm like, hot damn, it's my time to fix what I started before, finish up projects, redo projects, and go back and review things, right? Review. So That's how I work with Mercury retrograde. So this whole idea that it's like this terrible time, it's horrible, it's blah, 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 that you see on TikTok, that is all TikTok witchery, which is all just people wanting to get eyes on them. And what do they do? How do they get eyes on them? Oh my gosh, this is terrible. I'm going to tell you this terrible thing. What? That's what the news does every day. Let's not do that anymore. We don't need to do that anymore. We just need to go with the flow with it, right? So that's what we do during Mercury retrograde. Now, if you have to do something new, let's say you have to launch your project during Mercury retrograde, you have to sign that contract during Mercury retrograde. There are things you can do to mitigate having to redo it, right? You sign the contract and then you realize there's a mistake in the contract and you have to sign it over again. That's the thing we want to avoid during Mercury retrograde, which totally happens during Mercury retrograde, right? So what you want to do is use Mercury retrograde oil. Coastside Conjure makes an amazing Mercury retrograde oil that we sell at the shop. And this is to protect you from having to redo things if you have to initiate something during that time. That's a great way to work. Easy. You put it on yourself or you put it on a candle and you do that, right? Mercury retrograde oil, the answer to your Mercury retrograde problems. But you shouldn't have any problems with Mercury retrograde, right? Yeah, you might have to recommunicate. You might have to do things twice. You might have to give yourself a little more time to make sure it gets done. That's about it, really. That's sometimes we get annoyed. Oh, I have to do that thing over again. I can't believe my computer blew up. I have to go and reconstruct things again. Yeah, we want to avoid those hassles, but it's not, the sky is not falling during Mercury retrograde. We don't have to fear it. That's the main point of my soapbox rant. Okay, rant off. Mercury retrograde rant off. You just go with the flow. Yeah, that's the best way to approach Mercury retrograde. Okay.